Good afternoon, dear students. Hope you all are doing good. In today's class, we are going to study about Coulomb's law. So it is important questions for your exam, board exam. That is Coulomb's law. We are going to study about Coulomb's law. Before going to the concept of Coulomb's law, let us revise the concept which we studied in our previous class. In our previous classes, we studied about the properties of charges. The properties of charges are, we know the like charges repel each other and the unlike charges attract each other. And the charge is a scalar quantity. Charge is conserved. Charge is additive in nature. And the last one is charge is quantized. So these were the properties of charges which we studied in the previous classes. So let us take one of the property, that is the charge is quantized. Let us consider this property, that is called charge is quantized. So we got to know what is quantization. What do you mean by quantized? That is, the charge on a body should always be an integral multiple of a basic charge. We have studied this in our previous class. That is, Q is equal to NE, right? We studied this in our previous class, saying the charge of a body, see this is charge, the charge of a body should always be an integral multiple of a basic charge, where N is always plus or minus 1, okay, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, and so on. And this method was discovered by Michael Faraday. Okay, this process or this method or this concept was discovered by Michael Faraday. He said the number of electrons transferred from one body to another body should be in integer form, that is plus 1, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3. He just said it in a theoretical way. That is, he gave a theoretical explanation of the quantization. But experimentally, this was proved by Millikan. This was proved by Millikan. I'll write his name over here, Millikan. Millikan gave the experimental proof of the quantization. Okay, you may get this question for 1 mark. That is, who discovered the process of quantization or the charge is quantized. That is, theoretically, if they ask you who discovered theoretically, you can say Michael Faraday. If they ask you who proved it experimentally, then you can say Millikan. But there comes one more thing, that is, this quantization was mathematically expressed. Okay, the mathematical expression was given, and that was given by Coulomb. Okay, that was given by Coulomb. Coulomb gave a mathematical expression for forces between two charges. If we consider charges like charge 1 and charge B, Coulomb gave a mathematical expression for the forces between these two charges. So we'll study about what is Coulomb's law in detail. Okay, so are you clear with this? Theoretically, it was given by Michael Faraday. Experimentally, it was proved by Millikan, and the mathematical expression was given by Coulomb. You may get this question. This is a very important question. That is a state and explain Coulomb's law or the universe inverse square law. Okay, inverse square law. You may get this question, that is state and explain Coulomb's law or state and explain inverse square law. So let us consider two charges. Okay, let us consider. Now here I'll consider two charges. Okay, two charges. Let us take it as Q1 and Q2. So we use Q to represent a charge, right? So we take one charge as Q1 and the other charge as Q2. We all know the different methods of charging. Okay, this is charged and even this body is charged. So we all have studied about the different methods of charging. Let us do a quick revision. Okay, well, what are the methods of charging? There are three methods of charging. That is the friction method, the conduction method, and the induction method. The friction method is used only for induction, that is, it is applicable only for the inductors, whereas the conduction method and the induction method is applicable for conductors. So now, what are conductors and insulators? Very simple. Conductors allow charges to flow through them, whereas the insulators do not. And very important, conductors have free electrons and the insulators do not have free electrons. Okay, this we studied in our previous class. So now let us come to this point. Let us consider 2-point charges. Okay, what I am saying, 2-point charges. So what are these point charges? They are very small in size. Okay, these point charges are very small in size, but the charge is not small. Okay, only the size is small, but the charge is not small. Okay, now let these charges be separated by a distance r. Let this be separated by a distance r. Okay, now let us consider these two charges as positively charged. Just for our explanation purpose, we will take them as a positive charge. Okay, so what happened here? We took 2-point charges, that is Q1 and Q2, which are positively charged, and they are separated by a distance r. Okay, now there is a force. Okay, there is a force acting between these two charges. So what kind of force is it? See, this is also positive and this is also positive, and there is a force acting between them. What might be the force? The force is nothing but the repulsive force, because as we know, like charges repel each other. Therefore, there is a repulsive force. Okay. These two charges, will consider these two charges are kept in a air medium. Okay. What medium? Air medium. They are separated. The distance between them is have a air medium. Okay. So one more thing we should consider here is, if these charges are strong. Okay, in case if these charges are strong, the force between them will be strong. Okay, the force between them will be strong. If by chance these charges are weak, okay, if we consider a weak charges, the force between them will be weak. It's quite obvious, right? If there are if these are strong charges, of course there will be a strong force between them, and if they are weak charges, the force will be weak. That means the force between 2-point charge must be directly proportional to the amount of charge. See, as I told, strong force, strong charge, strong force, weak charge, weak force. So it is directly proportional, right? The force between 2-point charges must be directly proportional to the amount of charge. Whether it is an attractive force or repulsive force, that is different. We may consider it as a plus and minus, minus minus, or plus plus. For simplicity, we have taken, in this case, we have considered positive positive. So it is a repulsive force. Therefore, the force is directly proportional to the what? The charge. So how can we write it? We can write it as, I will write it over here, F, that is the electric force. Here we are considering the electric force. Okay, no, only the electric force we consider over here. The force is directly proportional to the product of the magnitude of the charges. Okay, the force, electric force, is directly proportional to the product of the magnitude of the charges. We should know that if here there is a distance between the two charges, right? If you keep the charges far away, first we got to know about the force and the charges. Now we'll come to this distance r. We should know what is the role of this distance over here. Okay, see, if I bring this charges close, if I bring them close with each other, okay, the force will be strong because the distance is small. Okay, and if I bring them far from each other, if I take them far from each other, the force will not be strong because the distance is more. Therefore, the distance is inversely proportional to the electric force. That is, the distance is inversely proportional to the electric force. That is the square of the distance between them, the square of the distance between two charges. So what did we get now? Force is directly proportional to the square of the magnitude of the charge and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the charges. So this is the simple statement for Coulomb's law. So if you are asked to give the statement of Coulomb's law, what will you do? How will you state it? The electric force between two charges kept in air. Okay, this we have considered the air medium. So how it goes, the electric force between two point charges kept in air at a distance of r from each other is directly proportional to the magnitude of the charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Is it clear? I'll repeat it again, you can note down. Coulomb's law states that the electric force between two point charges kept in a air at a distance of r from each other is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. And this is the expression for Coulomb's law. Now let us introduce a constant. Okay, now let us introduce a constant to make this F as equal to. Okay, we don't want the proportionality symbol now, we want the equality symbol. For that we need to introduce a constant called K. Constant called K, which is known as proportionality constant. Okay, this is known as proportionality constant. What is it? Proportionality constant. So what happens? F is equal to K, that is the proportionality constant, and the magnitude of the the product of magnitude of charges, that is q1 and q2, and same thing by r square. Okay, so now what is the value of this K? What is the value of this K? The value of this K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So remember this term epsilon, what it is? It is given as epsilon. Just a second, I will write the spelling. It is epsilon. It is a Greek word. Okay. So what is the value of K? K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Now the charges are kept in air. As I said, these charges are kept in air. Hence, we consider it as an air medium. So whenever we consider the air medium, we consider this epsilon as epsilon naught. Okay. Whenever we consider air medium, we use epsilon naught. And whenever we consider other medium like glass, plastic, wood, or any other medium, we just consider it as epsilon. Okay, remember it. It is very important when you substitute the values. If you are considering the air medium, we consider epsilon naught. When we are considering the other medium, we just write epsilon. But for your syllabus, we have it in a air medium. Okay, we consider the air medium for your syllabus. So what will be the final expression? Substituting the value of K, we get the final expression as F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Why epsilon naught? Because we have considered the air medium. Magnitude of q1 q2 divided by r square. So this is the mathematical expression given by Coulomb. So if you are asked to give the if you are asked to give the statement, or if you are asked to explain Coulomb's law, you should give the statement. What is the statement? You should give the statement and then you should arrive at this expression. So what is the statement? The electric force between 2 point charges kept in the air at a distance of r from each other is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. And you write this expression. Okay, introduce the proportionality constant, that is K, and then the value of K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Why epsilon naught? Because we have considered the air medium. Substitute the value of K here. Okay, and you will get the final expression for the Coulomb's law. Now let us understand what is meant by this epsilon. Okay, what is this epsilon? Okay, so what is this epsilon? See, here, suppose if we take a glass medium instead of air medium, suppose if we take glass medium or a plastic medium or a wood, say anything, any other medium or air medium, that is when the medium is changed. Okay, where the medium is changed, the force also changes, right? The force also changes. It simply means the medium decides the force. The medium permits the force. Okay, there is a force acting between these two charges. Because it is a, we have considered air medium, we have taken air medium. If we take other medium, we consider other medium. These mediums permit the force accordingly, or these medium decide the force. So this is called as permittivity. What is it called as? Permittivity. Permittivity. So this is called as permittivity, and epsilon naught is called as the, what epsilon naught is called as the permittivity constant. Okay, permittivity constant of a free space. Free space, that is air. Air is nothing but the free space. This is for air or the free space, and this is for any other medium. Okay, clear? So whenever we are considering air medium, we consider epsilon naught, and for the other medium we consider epsilon, and this is called permittivity constant. So the, what is permittivity? It is something that the medium which we use decides about the force or permits about the force. So what is the value of this epsilon naught? Not, okay, we are considering only epsilon naught. What is the value of epsilon naught? We are not talking about the epsilon, we are talking about epsilon naught. So what is the value of this epsilon naught? What is the value? The value of this epsilon naught is, remember this, please remember the value. The value of epsilon naught is 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 2 minus 12, sorry, minus 12 Newton per meter square coulomb square. Newton meter square coulomb square. Okay, so how did we get this, how can we get this SI unit? How can we get this unit? It is very simple. Okay, it is very simple. See, we are finding the value of epsilon, so just interchange this. Mathematically we can calculate it. See, I'll calculate it over here. So what do you want? You want epsilon naught. So just bring the force over here, that is 4 pi. So we brought the force over here. The rest remains the same, q1 q2 by r square. Okay, so now what is the SI unit of force? The SI unit of force is nothing but Newton. Okay, Newton. Because it is in the denominator, see, this is in the denominator, we consider it as Newton minus 1. Okay, here. And next, what is it? R. We are considering R. What is the R? Is a distance. So what is the SI unit of distance? SI unit of distance is nothing but meter. Because it is square, we are considering it as square, and it is also in the denominator, so we consider it as minus. And here comes the charge, that is Q1 and Q2. What is the SI unit of charge? The SI unit of charge is coulomb, because it is it is a product of two charges, so we consider coulomb square. So did you understand how to get the expression for the SI unit of epsilon naught? We considered the SI unit of force, considered the SI unit of distance, and the charge. So we got that the value of epsilon naught is 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 12 Newton meter square coulomb square. Okay. So now one more question may arise. See, can we reduce this value? Can we reduce this value? What might be the value of this whole thing? That is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. It is very easy. See, the pi is also constant, and you know the value of epsilon naught. Substitute the value of epsilon naught and pi. Very simple. Epsilon 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Substitute the value of pi and substitute the value of epsilon naught. If you calculate it, you will get the value as, will you try to calculate it? It's okay, you can calculate it. The value we get over here is 9 into 10 raised to 9. You can try calculating this. Okay, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is equal to 9 into 10 raised to 9. So this was just for your understanding purpose, and this value is very important. So if you get this question, I state and explain Coulomb's law, write the statement. Okay, just write this statement, you know the statement. Then draw this diagram, a simple diagram showing the charges and the distance between them, and then write this expression, that is F is directly proportional to Q and Q2 and inversely proportional to R square. Then introduce this constant K. Okay, then write the value of K and arrive at this expression. This is the final expression. So you may get this for 3 marks. Okay, this is all about the Coulomb's law. Magnitude wise, This is all about Coulomb's law magnitude wise. Now let us see the expression for Coulomb's law, in vector form. Okay, expression for Coulomb's law in vector form. So what uh, expression of Coulomb's law in vector form? Okay, Coulomb's law in vector form. So now let us consider the same point charges, that is Q1 separated by a distance R in a air medium. Okay, so see, now as we consider this as a positive charge, we know that we considered it as a positive. So what happens in the positive case? They repel. So there is a repulsion. Q1 will get repelled by Q2 and Q2 gets repelled by Q1. Now what happens? See, Q1 is pushing Q2. Q1 is repelling Q2. So what happens? Q2 moves over here, right? Q2 moves over here. So how can we write it? This expression can be written as F, okay, F21. So now what is F21? Why we are writing force F21? Because the force is acted on 2, okay, force is acted on this charge 2 by charge 1, okay. So we write it as F21. Here Q1 is pushing Q2, right? The force is acting on Q2. So 2 we write here, force is acting on 2 by what? By Q1, that is 1. Similarly, Q2 will also be pushing Q1 because they are positive. There is repulsion going on. So what happens? Q2 pushes Q1. So Q1 is pushed by Q2. So what we can write here? What can we write here? That is C. Q force 1, 2. Why? The force is applied on 1. By what? By 2. Similarly, here the force is applied on 2. By what? By 1. Okay, so what happens magnitude wise? What happens? We know that we know about the Newton's third law. You know about the Newton's third law, right? So what it does? See, force 1 2 is equal to force 2 1. So magnitude wise they are equal and opposite. They are equal. Magnitude wise they are equal. But if we consider vector, here we consider it like a Newton's third law. If equal and opposite, right, equal and opposite force, if we are consider it in a vector form, see, they are equal force but in the opposite direction. Magnitude wise they are equal, but if we consider it in a vector form, F12, that is vector form, the force is same but it is in the opposite direction. So what we consider here as minus. Okay, so we consider here as minus. This is magnitude wise they are equal, but when we consider vector it is minus F21. So what might be the expression for this? What might be the expression for this? See, this is equal and opposite force acting. So how can we write the expression of Coulomb's law in vector form? Now let us consider F12. So just consider F vector F12. So how will you write the Coulomb's expression, mathematical expression, Coulomb's law's mathematical expression for pi epsilon naught, okay, Q1, Q2 by, here instead of writing R square, we write R12, okay, and R12 cap. So why did we use the cap here? R12 is a unit vector which is in the direction F12. See, right hand side we have a vector, but on the left hand side we do not have a vector. So for that we use a vector. Okay, you will study this in your mathematics, the vector form. But R12 specifies R12 specifies, that is R12 cap specifies a unit vector which is in the direction F12. Similarly, if we write it for F21, vector F21, what happens? So it is very simple. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, okay, Q1, Q2, what is it? R21 and R21 cap. So what is R21? It is in the direction, it's a unit vector which is in the direction of force F21, okay. It is in the direction unit vector which is in the direction F21. And here what happens, R12 cap is a unit vector which is in the direction of force F12. So in general, by considering these two equations, in general, how we can write the Coulomb's law in a vector form, how we can write F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, okay, Q1 Q2 by R square into R cap. So this is the general expression of Coulomb's law in vector form. If you get a question to express the Coulomb's law in vector form, write these expression and then explain the quantities. Okay, so now R cap is the unit vector which is in the direction of force F. Okay, it is a unit vector which is in the direction of force F. Okay, you can write it. What is R? R is the distance between them, and epsilon is the permittivity constant. Q1 and Q2 are charges. F is the electric force, and R is the distance, and R cap is the unit vector which is in the direction of the force F. Okay, this was all about Coulomb's law. So if you may get the question, this is an important question. You may get the question about state and explain Coulomb's law. So please note down the statement, that is Coulomb's law states that the electric force between 2-point charge kept in a air at a distance of r from each other is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. And what is the expression for that? In a magnitude, okay, the normal Coulomb's law in magnitude wise, the expression is F, that is F is directly proportional to Q1 Q2 and inversely proportional to R square. Then F is equal to K, where K is what? Proportionality constant. So Q1 Q2 by R square and so on. The value of K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Okay, so substitute the value of K. F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. This is 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square. This is the expression for Coulomb's law. Okay, you can write the statement and you can draw this, the simple, very simple diagram, that is Q1 Q2, two charges, point charges separated by a distance r. That's it. You can just draw this. Okay, you can even name this as A and B. Okay, this is a simple diagram. Draw this diagram, write the statement, write this expression, and then write the quantities. That is F is the electric force, R is the distance, R is the distance between two charges, and Q1 and Q2 are 2-point charges. And what is K? K is proportionality constant, and epsilon naught is the permittivity constant for the air medium. And if they ask you to express it in vector form, just write this expression. You don't need to explain all this. This is just for your understanding purpose. If they ask you to write Coulomb's law in vector form, write this expression. Okay, you may get this for 3 marks. Okay, are you clear with this? So shall I clear everything? Shall I clear the screen? Yeah. So in the next class, we'll jump into the next concept. Okay. So we'll wind up the session. Thank you.